everybody. I have another quick and easy project for you to do. Today we are going to make a jar opener. So I've gone to the dollar store and I've bought some of that rubbery shelf liner. I believe the rolls are 12 inches wide by maybe 3 or 5 feet. I'm not sure. So what I did is I just cut them all into 6-inch squares. And I'm also going to need 2 6-inch squares of some really nice fabric. So let's begin. So I'm going to take my first square, and that will be on the inside, and I'm going to place it on my board right side up. I will take my shelf liner, and there's a smooth side and a bumpy side. I want to make sure that my liner is right side up. And then I'm going to take my focus fabric and I am going to place it right side down, and we're going to line up all the inches and we're going to put in a couple pins. I like to pin, it's only a 5-inch or 6-inch square, so I like to just pin the corners. I have a 1/4-inch foot on my sewing machine ready to go with some cotton thread, and I do like to use nice cotton fabric for this project. So what we're going to do now, using a 1/4-inch seam, I'm going to sew all the way around, leaving a spot on one side where I can turn this right sides out. So I don't know about you, but when I am doing this process, a lot of time I'll start on the one side, sew all the way around, forget where I am, keep going, and then all of a sudden my hole is way too small. So here's a little trick for you. Where I want to stop, I am going to take 2 pins. I am going to put them side by side. So now when I get to that point, I will know that that's my time to stop. So let's just line these back up. I jiggled them. Now at the beginning, I'm going to use a tacking stitch, or if your sewing machine doesn't have a tacking stitch, just use a back stitch. So backwards a couple stitches, and then we're ready to go. So you can see my 1/4-inch foot has this really cool red line right there, and it's a 1/4 inch away from the needle. So I know that I am now a 1/4 inch away from the other side. So now all I have to do is lift my foot. I'm sewing with my needle in the down position, so it's holding it for me. I will pivot, I will put my foot down, and let's sew the other side. Sew to that 1/4 inch, lift my foot, pivot, and off we go to the races. Let's continue the next side. Round our last corner. Oh, look, there's our pins. I can get them out of the way. And now I can lock my stitches. I'm going to take a nice sharp pair of scissors, and I'm just going to cut the excess, round these corners off a little bit, just to get rid of some of the bulk for when we turn it. Just make sure that you don't clip too close to your seam allowance. And there we go. Now all we have to do is turn it right sides out. So here's my hole. So I want to make sure that I put my fingers in between the right side and the liner. Stick my thumb in the corner and do a little flip. In the corner, do a little flip. So I'm going to take my purple thing or a bamboo skewer or something that's not too pointy, and I'm just going to work on these seams and make sure they're all pressed nicely and that my corners are poked out kind of sharp. If you have a really ruly corner, you can take a pin and help pull it out. Just be careful that you don't tear your fabric. And my last corner. So this is my side with my opening. So I am just going to make sure that I turn these seams in. And I am just going to give this a little press. Just make sure that you press on the fabric side and not on the rubber side. I'll just hold it for me a little bit. And I'm just going to put a couple pins in here to hold this seam closed. Now I'm going to top stitch all the way around. Again, using my 1/4 inch, I am going to lock my stitches. Normally when I'm top stitching, I will increase my stitch length again. I like to use a 3, so that's what I did, is increased it to 3, and off I go. Now because we have shelf liner and it's rubber, it's going to want to stick to our sewing machine, so don't press too firmly down. I like to just lift it and just help guide it sideways without putting any downward pressure on it. So I'm going to sew up to this side, and again, now with my presser foot, when I go to turn the corner and it's down, it's really going to want to stick. So what I'll do is take one of my heavier pins and I will stick it, I don't know if you can see, into my project here in behind my needle. So now when I sew, I'm going to start sewing slowly, and I'm going to put some pressure on the pin just to help it get around that corner. Sew all the way around. One more stitch. This foot has a really neat function that as soon as I stop sewing with the down position, the foot hovers a little bit so I can move my project. You'll have to lift your foot if you don't have that. Now here's where my opening is. So I want to make sure that I'm close enough that I'm going to catch that opening. And down here. We'll lock our stitches. Trim our threads. Now just to keep our layers together a little bit better, I'm just going to sew right through my layers in an X. Again, locking my stitch at the first. I'm just going to wing it and I'm going to eyeball it all the way down to the other end. If you're worried about eyeballing it, just take a blue wash away marker or some chalk and just draw yourself some lines with a ruler. And there we have it. All we have to do is trim some threads and we are finished. Some people like to put maybe a ribbon on the inside when you're sewing so they can hang it on their fridge. And I've also seen it done with a magnet, that you would just stick a magnet inside the layers and then it would magnetize itself right to the fridge. So you can see there's my jar, rubber side. Just gives us that little grip and it opens up really easy. Thanks for joining me today. Happy sewing.